What's up, everybody? I'm not even going to do the typical intro this week because the review is going to be pretty fucking short. For two reasons. A, as you can probably tell, my voice is cracking, and I got some other stuff I'm going to do later this week. You better fucking believe that. Also, there's a lot of bullshit going on in AEW right now, so I don't feel like rambling on it for a long period of time. Trust me, going to get Guapo at some point on here with me. I don't care whatever day he's free. We are going to talk about the bullshit. But I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm not going to just skip the review because a couple of other people tried to scrape this fucking mess of a show together and put in some good efforts, and I think it would be disrespectful of me to not talk about what they did this week. But AEW as a whole can kind of fuck off right now. And yeah, excuse my voice, especially for those of you out there that are using headphones, earbuds, etc. I probably sound like crap. If you want to skip this one, I don't blame you, because I'm not in a very good mood. I think Tony Khan's a fucking idiot. I think most of the people running this company are fucking idiots. And, yeah, because of that, I can't give the good stuff that happened tonight the proper attention that it probably deserves. So I apologize for that in advance. So what did we do? We started off the night with a replay of the return of MJF. He came in and he stole the chip with his new, his version of Retribution. It's fine, don't worry about it. And then he came out at the end of the night to call out the champion. Conveniently, the new champion edited out of all the footage, because that's not childish at all. And then we go to Captain Cocaine himself in the back, Tony Khan, announcing that the world title and the trios titles are vacated again. We're going to have a random match to crown new trios champions. It's going to be Death Triangle versus the Best Friends. So that entire tournament was fucking worthless now. And we're going to have a tournament, Grand Slam Extravaganza, whatever the fuck tagline he put on it, to crown a new champion. So right now, that title is once again held by vacant. And who's in the tournament? Who's in the tournament? Jericho, Danielson, Sammy, Darby, Mox. All sounds good. And Hangman, who shouldn't be in the tournament, but who's he friends with? Oh, fucking yes. So think about this right now. I said this on Twitter, I'm going to say it again here. All of their titles are fucking useless. All of their titles are fucking useless. Look at the big show of the year that they just had on Sunday. None of the it's not an ROH show, it's an AEW show. It's all under one banner. ROH is their NXT. Fuck off. None of their ROH titles were defended, despite the fact that all of the ROH champions, other than Mercedes Martinez, were on the show in other places. The TNT title was not defended, so how much is that really worth? The women's title is currently an interim title. The TBS title is still rotting around the waist of Jade Cargill. The only belts that matter, the only belts that feel special right now are the tag team titles, because the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory put on a fucking masterclass on Sunday that nobody's talking about because there's too much other bullshit going on. The trios titles are vacant. The world title is vacant. The All-Atlantic Championship, for the joke that it is, was on the kickoff. So was the FTW title, but we always constantly remind you that that title doesn't really matter. Anyways, now, I think it's kind of funny that they didn't defend any of their ROH titles or half of their main roster titles, but they did have the AAA mixed tag titles on the kickoff, so that's something. So, okay, you got guys there that are holding the AAA tag team titles as well, but no, you put them in a trios match, which meant that your TNT championship was also not defended. So, Tony Khan and all the EVPs, congratulations, none of your titles, except for the tag team titles, I guess, mean fuck and all right now. Good job. Hangman shouldn't be in the tournament. Hangman can fuck off as well. MJF comes out in Buffalo with a Buffalo jersey on. I don't know the name of the guy in the back. I'm not a sports guy, but he walks this really cool line, and here's where I do want to give credit to the people that are doing really good shit. He walks this really cool line of he's the heel who's coming out to be a sarcastic babyface, but because he's a heel that people like, people are giving him an actual babyface reaction. My phone can fuck off. He says, he loves all the fans. He loves AEW. You guys didn't think I was really going to leave, did you? I like that. I'm not going to lie. His entrance for the casino ladder match to Sympathy for the Devil was a nice touch as well, with the mask, the whole bit. Stokely Hathaway and the Retribution version 2 thing. We'll talk about that later on. And he says, these are dark times, and in dark times we need a leader, and I'm basically better than Moses. He's interrupted by Mox, who's no longer the champion. I mean, clearly on Sunday he lost the title to vacant. He tells him he's full of crap. The heel starts splitting through the sarcasm and all that sort of thing. Mox, or MJF, laughs at him for going to sleep on Sunday, which is kind of funny. He says, I'm not going to be in the tournament. I'm going to work smart, not hard. I'm going to win that championship, and I'm going to win that title, and I'm going to use it as a betting chip in the bidding war of 24 and take it to a real company. Love it. I'm going to go over there and join my friend Cody Rhodes. Love it. I'm going to go over and work with the only con that matters. Love it. I'm going to use the words of my hero, the game, and do what's best for business. Love it. Moxley comes out, and now he's all of a sudden, he's the dad. I love Moxley, don't get me wrong. They've put him in a tough spot. He wasn't even supposed to be on the show tonight, but we're playing cleanup, are we not? They put him in an awkward spot. He had to come out here and play the dad of AEW. This isn't your place. This isn't, this isn't the time or the place for this. You know that, and chases him up the ramp. Oh, by the way, your theme sucks. And then he puts over the title in the tournament. Now, the problem with this is Moxley comes out after losing, and Moxley's great. He really is. What I'm about to say is nothing against Moxley himself. It's about the way AEW used him tonight. He came over and gave a speech like he always does about what that title means to him, what being in AEW means to him, and it means all the sacrifices, it means all the demons that I've faced, it means all the freedom that we get in AEW, but apparently freedom is a bad thing now. We'll talk about that at another day, at another time, because clearly, freedom and speaking your mind are all of a sudden not a good thing. Fuck off. But he talks about what the title means, he talks about why it's important to him, and all that it means to him. And it's like the underlying message of all this is like, so you're implying that the guy that beat you doesn't give a shit about the title while he's not there to retort. That's pretty shitty. That's not coming out of Moxley's mouth. That's somebody else's words coming out of Moxley's mouth, and that's really, really childish. And they're tripping over their own dicks, are they not? Now, I would love to give this the respect that it deserves as well. Death Triangle versus the Best Friends. Best Friends come out with Danhausen. The trios matches are great. Don't get me wrong. They're fast, exciting, pile of people matches. They usually put the smaller, more athletic, high-flying gymnastic guys in these so that they're cocaine specials. The super special EVPs that get, everything handed to them because they run the place. They set the template for that. I won't take that away from them. That's fine. I would love at one point for there to just be like this fucking jacked team. Have like Lance Archer, Wardlow, and fucking Paul White for a night be the trios champions and just thump somebody. I think that would be great. But this is great. It's always cool to see the interaction between Orange Cassidy and Pac, because the match that he had with Pac was really my first introduction to Orange Cassidy. You guys will remember Guapo was on the show with me. We were getting ready to preview whatever pay-per-view that was, and it's like, that was when they did the whole, you've got Orange Cassidy pissed off, he's actually going to try. And then when he broke out of the, I'm a sloth that really doesn't give a shit about anything, and actually wrestled, I'm like, this is fucking great, I get it now. So there's a long history there, and apparently, and people were saying this before the show tonight, when this was just a regular match, and people were saying it on commentary tonight as well. Apparently, this match has been tried to happen so many times, and they've never actually had the full 3 members of the Best Friends and the full 3 members of the Death Triangle here at the same time. Sorry, because of injuries, because of COVID, because of travel restrictions and all that sort of thing. I didn't realize that. And if that's, it could be false for all I know, but if that's true, that is pretty fucking cool. You can look at it as almost a continuation of Orange Cassidy versus Pac, whereas Orange Cassidy and Friends, literally, versus Pac and Goth Friends, which is fine, but when your and Friends are the Lucha Brothers, that's a pretty fucking nice pair to draw to. There's a good spot in the early going. Sorry, my writing is all over the place. I took half-assed notes for this show because you'll see there's a general mood setting over the show tonight. But there was a spot. Orange Cassidy went for a handspring, and it looked like it was going to be like a handspring into like an elbow or something like that. And Pac just stood there, watched him do the handspring, and collapsed his midsection with a kick. And I'm just like, we love the flippy shit, but I do occasionally love somebody to just swat the mosquito out of the air. Then they do the pose off, the Zero Miero and the... I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's the way I've always pronounced it. But Zero Miero versus him doing the sunglasses and tossing them over to Danhausen on the outside. Danhausen on the outside is obviously a cool, irritating factor for the, I was going to say for the heels, but they're not, there wasn't really heels in this. There was like a fun team and sort of a grumpy, serious team, but nobody's really going to call Death Triangle heels at this point, are they? Are they really? I don't think they are. There was a triple back body drop spot by the Best Friends over the top rope, which was really, really nice. During the picture-in-picture, which means I can see hardly anything, all 6 of them brawl on the outside. I know somebody dived off the ramp onto everybody. It does draw the, if I want to be real stickler, it just makes me wonder why there wasn't a double count out. But that's just me. That's just, you know. I got to go back to, once again, Pac hating Orange Cassidy, hating everything Orange Cassidy does, and that transferring to Danhausen as well. Then Danhausen turns his attention to Alex Abrahantes, tries to curse him. The curse doesn't work. He punches him in the nuts instead, and then Pac comes out, takes him out. That's the end of that. Double super kick into a Code Red was a good triple team spot by Death Triangle. There is a triple Canadian Destroyer followed by the Black Arrow by Pac, and Death Triangle win. Death Triangle is your new Trios champions, and that's awesome. I'm not going to say very much about this. You guys will know if you watched my preview. Guapo and I both said it. The Trios tournament was a lot of fun, but as soon as you saw who was in it, you knew who was going to win it. This was something where I genuinely went in, and I'm like, oh, I wonder which way they're going to go. That's nice. Isn't it nice to watch a match where you know that not anybody in the match is literally being spoon-fed shit because they run the place? Oh, yes. Also, Pac's a double champion, which is cool. Now, it does pose an interesting problem for Death Triangle because they have to defend those Trios titles as a trio, and the idea of the All-Atlantic Championship is he's going to be going all over the world defending it in various other promotions, etc. So they will have to work around that, but I mean, right now, realistically, AEW has bigger things to fix. During that match as well, they threw up a graphic on the lower third, confirming that the Acclaimed are going to get a rematch against Swerve in Our Glory at the Grand Slam, which is, I think, in 2 weeks. That's good. You wanna push Grand Slam. You want to get a lot of attention for Grand Slam, the bigger building, etc. You definitely sign a rematch of the best match at All Out. Best match at All Out. By the way, best match at All Out. In the back, Andrade is still trying to buy 10 from the Dark Order, which is stupid. Moving on. Toni Storm is your new women's champion. Unfortunately, interim women's champion. Wishing all the best to Thunder Rosa, not only in recovering from her injury, but also recovering from all the bullshit that she's apparently experiencing backstage. Don't like to see it. Want to see her back real soon. And if it continues, go over and see Papa H. It'll be alright. She's taking on Penelope Ford, who is, like, habitually underrated by everybody, in my personal opinion. I haven't seen a whole lot, like, Penelope Ford, like, okay, I shouldn't say overrated by or underrated by everybody. What I will say is every time I do see Penelope Ford, she makes me want to see more of her. Because I get the feeling that she's like, strap a rocket to her back worthy, and then she disappears for a while. And because she's partners with Kip Sabian, she's accompanied to the ring by Kip Sabian in a box. And it's a non-title match. Great to see a good spotlight on Toni Storm. I will say, in the interest of balance, Toni Storm has been hit and miss used in AEW, but she was hit and miss used in WWE as well. So seeing her get her flowers is really cool. As I say, Penelope is a little underrated. She could use a little bit more time if you ask me, but you know, it is what it is. At one point, Storm does a headstand out of a figure four headlock, which is really cool. And then she eats the steps on the outside, which doesn't look very fun at all. At one point, she's leaning over the bottom. Basically, picture how somebody would normally be for a 619, but she was like that, but on the bottom rope. And she took a dirty drop kick to the back of the head from Penelope Ford, but she didn't end her career. Sasha Banks, looking at you. Hip attack, and then Penelope Ford goes for something, gets countered into a really sick looking DDT, and Storm, your interim women's champion, does get the win. I will say, if I want to put a positive spin on this, Thunder Rosa and her were a tag team before the pay-per-view, before she announced her injury, etc. She did wish her well in the Fatal 4-Way and all that sort of thing, and you sort of we'll figure it out when I get back type thing. I am looking forward to, if they keep them both face, don't turn Thunder Rosa heel, because I like Thunder Rosa and I like Toni Storm. Have them have a nice face versus face, respectful match. I'm not going to draw very many comparisons, but I will say, if anybody out there still watches NXT, did watch NXT, I'm going to cover this more fully when I do my WWE Last Week pod, which is coming next Monday. But there was a match between Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura. It was stiff, it was hard-hitting, it was competitive, but it was respectful, it was two baby faces. And it's really good. Don't do it all the time, but every now and then it's really, really nice. After what happened on the kickoff of All Out, 2.0 are taking on the team of Hook and Action Bronson at Grand Slam. They're both New York guys, so I guess it's a hometown thing. Somebody tell me down in the box below why I should give a rat lizard fuck about Action Bronson. Thank you very much. I like Hook. I like 2.0. He's the odd one out in this scenario, only because I don't know who the fuck he is. Max Caster comes out. Here we go. Here's a criticism, and I'm going to balance this, because, again, I'm going for the thing of balance, right? A criticism that WWE gets all the time is, we come out in the opening segment, somebody's talking, somebody else interrupts, they get into a skirmish, and that becomes the main event for the end of the night, and it's like, oh my god, that's not logical, what was going to be the main event? Well, it's a pre-written story, so that was always going to be the main event, we just had to get there. Now, here's what I'm going to say about this. Now, as we said, the Acclaimed are getting a rematch against Swerve in Our Glory at Grand Slam in 2 weeks. Max Caster is about to cut a rap, and he immediately gets cut off by Swerve, who talks some random shit, and Keith Lee's not even there, and Billy Gunn cuts him off and returns the favor and says it's no longer Swerve's house, and everybody does the scissor me thing, and they basically have a really, really awkward, forced back and forth on the ramp, which is really shitty, because I like Swerve's usually great on the mic, Caster's great on the mic. After everything, after all the bullshit that's happened in the past couple of days, everybody was waiting to see what Max Caster would say, and that was cut off. But here's my point. When we get back from the commercial break, we were on to the next thing. Why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? After we get back from the commercial break, we were on to the next thing. So clearly the Acclaim didn't have a match. So as he was getting ready to rap down the ramp to the ring, what was he going down there to do? Plot hole. I'm not saying it's the end of the world. I'm not saying it's the worst thing on the show, not by a long shot. But it is a plot hole, and it's kind of interesting that same criticism that falls heavily with the weight of, dare I say it, a sledgehammer on WWE, doesn't fall the same way on AEW. It's just a bit weird. The Billy Gunn thing is still kind of weird. It was kind of funny that Swerve was out there by himself, not with Keith Lee. Now, I don't know whether Keith Lee has a personal conflict and he was just off doing something else that night. We know other people were called in tonight to cover for, the bullshit. But it does kind of work in the dynamic that they're trying to set for Swerve in our Glory, where Swerve is... like, they're a team, they get along, they understand each other's different mentalities about wrestling, but Swerve is the super competitive asshole, I'm going to cut your knees out if I need to, whereas Keith Lee's just like, I'm going to go out there and be great and soak up the energy and whatever. So for Swerve to come out on his own and talk shit to these guys, and to have Lee not with him, it was weird, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense at the same time. If that's what they're doing. If not, if Keith Lee just wasn't at the show tonight, then I'm talking bullshit, which wouldn't be the first time, would it? As I said, when we get back from the commercial break, there is no Acclaimed match, so why were they going down to the ring? Jericho's in the back, he's bragging about beating Bryan, he's bragging about the fact that he's found the Fountain of Youth, and he's bragging that when he faces Bryan Danielson in this, cataclysmic, tournament of all tournaments to Grand Slam, he's going to beat him again, which is fine. He puts over the fact that Sammy Guevara is going to face Darby Allin in the same tournament on Rampage, so it's probably happening right now. And then he puts over the match that Garcia is having with Wheeler Yuta later tonight for the Pure Championship, and reminds him that Jericho Appreciation Society will not be out there with him. Which is all good. Jericho puts himself over, kind of puts Bryan over as well, puts over his guy, puts over the match that his guy is going to have with Darby, puts over Garcia's match tonight, and by saying, hey, maybe you should be a little bit worried because we're not going to be there to help you, he's sort of subconsciously putting over Yuta a little bit too, like, don't take him too lightly because you're not going to have help. Jericho did a lot in a very short span of time, and I will say, another positive that we can pull out of this week, of which there aren't very many, apparently through all the bullshit, there has been one calming influence over the EVPs and over the people in charge and over the rest of the people in the locker room, and that has been Chris Jericho, and that's really awesome to hear, because Chris Jericho gets a lot of shit because he has a couple of unpopular opinions, but if he's there on the Titanic trying to pull the strings back together, Spider-Man style, then he deserves his fucking flowers. Wardlow squashed Tony Nese, because of course he did, and he was about to squash Smart Mark Sterling as well, till Josh Woods, who's another one of his guys, apparently pulled him out, and that segment was pointless. Wardlow comes out there to cut a promo saying, oh, it's Wardlow's world, I'm going to remind all of you what I'm here for, I'm going to remind you all that I'm the TNT Championship. Well, it didn't seem to matter very much at the pay-per-view, because they didn't have you defend your title. So I like Wardlow, but fuck off. Like, this is the kind of night we're having. Bryan Danielson took on Hangman Page in the first match of this tournament. Hangman Page shouldn't be in this tournament. I'm not talking about this match. The only positive I can say is that Bryan won, and we don't have to put up with Hangman Page being any farther in the tournament. Fuck off. Stokely Hathaway comes out with all his guys. It's Stokely, it's Lee Moriarty, it's Ethan Page, it's the Gun Club, it's W. Morrissey, and he's about to explain why they're all here. Excuse me, why they're all here, and then he gets cut off by a sound technician who's telling him, hey man, the show's running long, you don't have time. So he beats the stagehand up with a microphone, and then the rest of his guys beat up the stagehand with a microphone, and so far Stokely Hathaway is managing Retribution 2.0. Yay! Remember last week when I said I was really happy to see W. Morrissey back? Yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? Main event time. I don't care. It's so hard to care right now. This is going to be the shortest AEW review I've ever done. Garcia versus Yuta. Pure Rules match for the Pure Rules Championship. Great match. Stupendous. And I'm not over developing this when I say it. Stupendous technical wrestling match. None of the Blackpool Combat Club are there. None of the Jericho Appreciation Society are there. I like that. They do the Code of Honor at the beginning and at the end. I think they had somebody from the ROH team on commentary, though I couldn't really tell you. I will tell you that William Regal was there on commentary, who's always great because he puts over his guys, but he always puts over who they're facing as well, because he treats every opponent as a test for his guys, and I think with that mentality, having him on commentary is really great. The banter between him and Taz is fucking great. Garcia got some kind of rap entrance. I'm not going to lie, I fast-forwarded through it, but they were in his hometown, which is really nice, and it made it extra special when Garcia won after the third or fourth application of basically the sharpshooter, but he's calling it the Dragon Tamer after beating Bryan Danielson, and he's your new pure champion. So you've got your wrestling group and you've got your sports entertainment group, and the guy on the sports entertainment group, who's now considering himself more of a wrestler, just won the pure wrestling title. And yeah, they do the Code of Honor at the end between him and Yuta. I mean, Yuta's obviously not happy that he lost, but they still do the respectful thing. Bryan Danielson comes down and rips the belt out of his hand, and everybody's like, ooh, ah, but then it's the fake out. He says, turn around, and Bryan Danielson belts him up. Really, really cool moment. Really, really nice moment for him. Jericho in the perfect, like, I'm a heel, but also my group is kind of falling apart thing. Jericho wide-eyed on the entranceway, Garcia, what are you doing? In the awesome Jericho way. This was really cool. This is a story that actually works. Garcia as this sort of conflicted young kid between two dads, realistically speaking, between Bryan Danielson and Jericho is cool. Like, the two, like, Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho can pull a story like this off in their sleep. Garcia has played his role great. Yuta had to be, like, the sibling that he was fighting with while the dads fought, if that makes any sense. I'm not trying to make that into something weird. I'm just trying to make the metaphor work. But it was really good. It was really nice. It fits the story perfectly. It benefits him. It benefits Yuta, because I'm pretty sure Yuta and somebody are going to go for the tag titles eventually. So I'm cool with that. Would probably be Yuta and Bryan Danielson, which is absolutely fine. It suits Bryan Danielson because it enhances him as sort of like this mentor figure. It enhances Jericho as this sort of manipulative heel, not really a mentor kind of character. It builds up Jericho and Danielson for next week because they're going to face in the tournament because thank God Hangman is out over there. This was all good. This whole thing at the end here, the last, 20 minutes or so, was really good. But here's the problem. Here is the problem. You got Toni Storm and Penelope Ford, which was a really good match, and it got put on pretty early in the night compared to where the ladies usually are. You got the Pure Rules match, which was really good. You got the Trios titles on some people that actually will wear them properly, and that was really cool. But the problem with all that is, point out all the really cool things that they pulled out of their ass on this show, and it's kind of like somebody who really, really fucked up over here, jingling their keys in the other direction and say, yeah, just kind of look over here for a little bit. So even the stuff on tonight's show that was good pisses me off. Because it's not genuine. It's, hey, we did the flashy thing over here, so you won't realize we absolutely took a huge shit over here. This is a turning point for AEW, and I'm not saying that as in, like, my opinion means anything, but this is a gigantic shift. And there's a reason why I'm not tackling the big bullshit issue in this podcast, because it would completely overshadow everybody that actually went out there and busted their ass tonight. And I wanted to actually talk about the show. As I said, whenever I can get on with Guapo, we are going to do a dedicated pod to just the bullshit from after All Out. And yeah, if the conversations on Twitter are anything to go by, it won't make me very popular. And you know what? I really don't give a fuck, because you know what? Regardless, if you're still listening to my voice at this point, I am Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. And at least for now, fuck this company.